Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're having a good day wherever you are and whenever you're watching this, and I hope that you're staying safe and staying inside. Today, I wanted to take a moment to clarify some things about how we're going to be reading Romeo and Juliet and why we're going to be reading and consuming it the way that we are. So, the premise of the way this unit is going to work is that plays were meant to be watched. Now, the language of Shakespeare is so rich and beautiful and important that we will also definitely read Shakespeare. However, I think that no Shakespeare experience is complete without at least some viewing of an adaptation of this play or of any play, right? So we're going to treat Romeo and Juliet from two different directions. The first direction is we're going to read it, just not all of it, but we're going to read significant chunks of it. Now, we probably were not going to be going into the depth of literary analysis that you might in some classes when you read this, because we're really going to be focusing our analysis on the adaptations of it and how those adaptations in particular use what we call critical film terms, which are like literary terms, but for film. But we are still going to be reading sections of it. And then you are going to be watching the movie versions of the sections that we read throughout the play. And then you will be taking notes on how we taking notes on how those adaptations, those movie versions, use the terms that we're going to discuss in another video on critical film terms. So first, though, today I wanted to just go over briefly what is this going to look like for you when you do your reading, because I put a link up and I was not totally clear about what I wanted. So if we look here, I put up a link to the No Fear Shakespeare on Sparks Notes. Now, I did this because I think it is important. Oh, and of course my webcam is dead. I think it's important to. I'm not changing this. I'm just so angry at it. It's okay. I don't need my webcam. I put this up here because I think it's important to understand what you read and to not just sort of fake your way through it. And it, in particular, because I cannot give you the support that I normally would on a page by page basis, I put up the No Fear, which allows you access to the original text and to a translation. So if we click on from the link I put up, which looks like this, if we click on scene one, you can see we have the original text on the left, the modern text on the right. My preference would be for you to read the original text all the way through, checking the modern text for anything that confuses you or that you don't understand. So you can see that when we talk about the individual words that might confuse you, you can see these links. These links will give you, right, context for what you need to understand in the language. So right now, your assignment is going to be read prologue, Act 1, Scene 1, and Act 1, Scene 5. So we're going to skip forward. So basically, there's a big old fight between the Montagues and the Capulets. The prince says, hey, if you fight again, I'm going to kill you. And through sort of a series of hijinks, Romeo, we find out that Capulet is going to have a big party at his house. And he gives a servant who cannot read the invitations. Well, the servant who cannot read happens to come upon Benvolio and Romeo, who can read, and he says, hey, can you read these invitations for me? So they read them out for him where they go. And on the way out, he's like, hey, listen, come take this extra invitation. Or he doesn't even give him the extra invitation. He just says, if you want to show up, you should. Thank you so much for helping me. But the servant who can't read, Peter, does not know that Romeo and Benvolio are Montagues, right? So they found out about it. So basically, Benvolio says, hey, you're in love with Rosaline, this other girl who doesn't love you back. So why don't you come with me to this party? Now, the party is going to be a masque. A masque was a medieval tradition that ran all the way through the Renaissance, actually, of having these big parties where everyone wore masks, right, as it says. But masks were sort of like a time when the social order broke down and when people could kind of really let their hair down and kind of party in a much less restrained way than they were used to. So they decide to show up at this masque. So it's Mercutio, Benvolio, Romeo, and a couple of his buddies who should not be at this party, just for the record. And the whole stated goal of Romeo and Benvolio going to this party is that Benvolio is going to show him women other than Rosaline who are attractive so that he can understand that there are other people other than Rosaline who can fulfill his needs or whatever, that he doesn't have to
Auto
just
shutdown initiated.
that he doesn't just have to be with Rosaline. So that is where we are going to start when you read Act 1, Scene 5. All right. After you've read it, you will be watching a YouTube clip of 2 different versions of it and taking notes based on the critical film term note video that I'm going to put up soon. Okay. But for now, until you do the critical film term notes, go ahead and read Act 1, Scene 1 from this page and Act 1, Scene 5. If you have any questions, please email me and I'd love to get back with you.